Welcome back, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of ProView. Welcome, Mohan sir.
Hi Amit. Today we have a very special guest, the person who took me first to Central India. It is with him that I saw Kana and Bandhavgarh, photography mentor and exceptionally good photographer. Welcome Sachin Rai.
Welcome, Sachin.
Thank you. Hey guys,
Hi,
how are you?
fine,
Good to see
fine.
you. Good to see you after long.
It's a great pleasure to have you
Thank you so
on
much.
this session, Sachin. Please
Thank
welcome.
you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sachin, I never worked with you under your
Right.
mentorship, but I'll tell you, Sachin, your work is speaking right from those early 2000s. I've been
Right.
following your work, and I still remember that one image of yours where the skink is peeping out from a pipe. I think it is
Okay.
shot somewhere in Mumbai, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, so big fan. Thank you so much, Sachin, for joining.
Thank you.
And one small question, Sachin. I think you started your journey 2 decades ago, right?
Right.
I think your first park you visited is Sundarbans.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so uh, from that digital media background,
Right.
photography. How that journey started.
Right. Right. So, thank you, Amit, and thank you, Mr. Mohan, for having me here. It's always a pleasure to talk to fellow photographers. It's a small community. It's always fun when we all get together and get to talk about each other's passion, because that is what we are all here for. So, thank you so much again for having me here. I was a web designer for a long time, and that was my first calling, and I really enjoyed my job. From there, I keep saying back then, thankfully, there was something called .com, which ensured that people who were in the IT industry were making fairly decent money. Not that they don't now, but that was a .com boom, and people had hired a lot of people. There were lots of funds coming in, so there was good money in hand. And I didn't really know what to do with the money in my hand, very honestly. And the only thing I knew was that I always wanted to go and explore the forest, but I had no idea how to do it. And that is how I ended up going on a couple of nature led tours. There were hardly any photographers back then, hardly, because it was the analog days. We had the film era. We didn't have digital cameras. So it was an expensive hobby to go to for people. So I initially, my first trip to wildlife was without a camera. I mean, I had a small bridge camera, and I shot anything and everything that I saw that time. But it was expensive because a film roll costed money. So each film costed money. So you couldn't just go blatantly shooting as much because you didn't have as many frames per second and stuff like that. But I was shooting everything that the gentleman I went with showed me, which is what I keep telling people, that it's very important who you explore the forests with, because they are the people who can instill that passion in you. They can show you an insect and talk about it so passionately that even if you don't get a picture, you feel, oh wow, I never knew that ants will have 3 pairs of legs while spiders will have 4 pairs of legs. This was taught to us in school, but we never genuinely saw it. So then someone tells you, do you know that there is something called as an ant mimic spider, which raises the first two limbs so that it looks like the antennae, because a spider is supposed to have 4 pairs of legs, but it uses only 3 and raises the first. All of this is very fascinating when someone explains it to you. So it's not only about photography, it's also about stories that natures provide you, which you are usually not aware of, and when you come to know, you want to share it with others. And that is how I got into photography. I was like, it'll be so cool to take a picture and then tell the world about it, and that is how I slowly started.
In fact, the moment the name Bandhavgarh comes, Sachin, the
Right.
first name comes to me is Sachin Rai.
Of
Right.
And
course,
I
of
that
course.
that family tree, tiger
Correct.
family tree comes to my mind. Okay,
Right.
and I
Right.
think every workshop what you conduct in Bandhavgarh,
Right.
you discuss with your participants about that, and
Yes.
everyone talks about that. This is how
Correct.
Sachin conducts his workshop.
Correct.
That shows your passion,
Right.
your knowledge on that. Forget about now tigers and birds.
Right.
Sachin, one frog.
Right.
Uh, you are responsible for a rediscovery.
Yes.
Okay, can you just tell the small story about it?
Absolutely. So, Amit, I've been very passionate about frogs since 2012, 2013, when I went to Amboli for the first time. And I went with people who been in wildlife for a lot more years than I had. And when I asked them about the frog, they said, hey, it's a very different world out there because there are not enough materials to show that this is the frog. And we couldn't ID frogs per se. We had one book by BNHS, by Sir D.C. Daniel, and there were some pictures of frogs there, but there were not as many. So every frog I pointed to the people who I went with, they were like, we don't really know what it could be. And I was like, man, what an incredible world this is, where these guys have not even been discovered, or they don't even have a name. And science had put name to them, but us who were nature lovers, we were always more keen on a tiger or an elephant or a peafowl or a eagle, but never wanted to look for frogs and snakes. So that got me kicked, and I started working on frogs. When I say started working on frogs, I started documenting. I started going on to different places, taking pictures, started researching, looking at old papers, because there were papers published on these frogs 100 years ago, 120 years ago, and there were records saying you can see this frog in XYZ area. So all you had to do is go to that area and look for that frog. But that time there was this time when I went to Anamalai Hills and we were walking around in the night. I had no intention. I had zero idea that I'll see that frog because it was supposed to be extinct. We didn't even know it is there. The last record was 104 years ago. Since then, no one had seen it. So they were there, but people would have seen it, but no one like us saw it who could tell the world that this frog exists even now. Like a very classical example would be a frog called purple frog, Nasica batrachus. Now that frog was discovered only 15 years ago. Discovered, not even rediscovery, discovered 15 years ago. It has been there for thousands of years, probably millions of years. And people have been consuming it. People have been consuming the tadpole of that frog because they believe that it's good for arthritis or whatever. So that frog was known to the locals, but to the science world and people like us, we didn't know. So when I was walking around that night looking for that frog, I eventually saw a Ramanella, which is a balloon frog, croaking out in the pond. And I was like, this guy looks slightly different. And he was croaking also slightly different. So I caught him and I saw him. He had these beautiful dots on the belly, which I had not seen on others. So I knew it could be that, but I was not 100% sure. So I took as many pictures, pictorial evidence of that, and then got back. And then I asked the team around and they said, yeah, it is the Anamalai dot frog. So it was a rediscovery. So it's quite fascinating when you see something like that and you know that they're still alive and kicking.
Yeah, and guys, for those who are watching, don't miss that trip by Sachin to Kurg. Whenever I'm in post-COVID, those trips open. Right. And right. Sachin keeps on publishing his trips on his website, sachinrai.com. And Sachin is very active on Instagram also. Okay, Sachin Rai Photography. Please go and search for it. And a lakh and plus follower. The beauty of Sachin, the Sachin Live, Sachin Rai Live, where he involved a lot of scientists and fellow photographers, and he discussed about all those interesting topics. Sachin, you're doing a fantastic job. And in fact, without further delay, Sachin, I wanted to see all that great images, what you have, going to present us across the world. Okay, sure. It's all yours, Sachin.
So thank you, guys. Thank you again. So I have been, unfortunately, conducting a lot of these talks, and I talk about various things in different platforms. Here, I thought, let me talk about not only as a photographer, if someone wants to get into photography, there is lots of things that you can be open about. You don't have to be worried about being only an artistic photographer. You don't have to worry about making pictures only in good light. You don't have to worry about saying, I'm only a documentation photographer. No, you can do all of them. You can do all of them as and when the opportunity arises. Because you sticking to only one might disappoint you as a photographer. Which is what I keep telling people, that if you invariably love nature, then you will never be unhappy because you will get something or the other and you will be happy about. True. Because anything and everything in the totality makes very good sense. I see some very good photographers these days on Instagram who post pictures, scape pictures, where the subject is probably 10% and everything around is shown. It's just, it makes you feel very happy saying, oh man, God, look at that scene. It's so pretty. The entire scene is, it makes you want to go there. Like, I'm sure Mr. Mohan will vouch for it, that Kanha and Corbett are two places where it gives you immense pleasure just to be there, because the light, the forest, the tall salt trees, the bamboo, the Barasinga, everything puts it together. So you can't go there and saying, listen, I will go there and I'll make only a silhouette of a Barasinga. It could disappoint you. While you're looking for the silhouette of Barasinga, if there is a wild boar digging something, I would want to document that also,
True.
right? So all I'm saying is I would want people to be slightly open towards everything and not be stereotyped into one category, because it's difficult to pursue only one category within, because wildlife itself is a shallow area, but within that there is so much that you could do, no? So what I intend to do is I will show you around 50 odd images, some from India of how I began, what did I do initially, and then when I switched my career into full-time wildlife photography, where I realized that I cannot earn by selling my images, I started taking tours. I started taking people out on photography tours, where it worked good for me because I could share my passion with them. I could ensure that they are slightly better photographers, they're slightly better oriented in nature, they're slightly better oriented in conservation, all of it. Because I think that is one aspect we have to give back to the nature, where we tell people what are the problems, what could be the issues, and how you can solve it, as opposed to going to Bandhavgarh. Like there were some of my guests who would say, Bandhavgarh is like a zoo. I was like, why is it like a zoo? Because there are so many tigers. But that concept itself is a problem to me. Just because you're seeing tigers easily doesn't make it a zoo. So you got to respect the fact that it is a tiger reserve. They're all wild animals. None of them are trained to do anything. And it's only a luck at times. There have been times when I have been to Bandhavgarh and not seen a tiger. It's absolutely possible. But what I intend to do is I'll run you through all the pictures. I'll talk about 4 or 5 destinations that I have been lucky to go to, and I'll give you a snippet of each of these places and what I've shot and why I've shot. It's basically short storytelling kind of a thing. Yeah, cool. Any questions before I proceed?
All yours, sir.
No.
We are eager to see your
Thank you.
khazana.
I'll just share my screen and I'll
Yes, sir.
start with it. Cool. So I've been very lucky, guys, from the beginning. I assume so. I want to presume so that I've been able to witness a lot of things in the wild, because I've also spent considerable amount of time. This is a picture that helped me change my career. Honestly, I was doing photography for 6-7 years before this. This was in 2007 beginning, and these are 2 male Malabar pied hornbill. When I shot this, there were no record of this happening before. This behavior was not recorded. This was in one of the INW meets. In fact, there used to be a forum called India Nature Watch, and all of us were there, and we were in the timber depot making pictures. And I saw this was by accident. I honestly didn't know they'll do this. There were 2 of these flying, and I was just focusing on them, taking pictures, and instantly they just turned, clapped the beak, and started flying again. And that was fascinating. And I came back and I shared it with a couple of people who had worked on hornbills, and they said, oh, we had heard about it, but we don't really know. And there were presumptions and assumptions on why they do it and blah, blah. But it's very fascinating to know that there was a unique behavior that was probably not recorded back then. Now, though, we know that even great hornbills do this. There's this fantastic footages that Sandesh has shot recently, which is phenomenal. So the fact is that because there are so many photographers out there doing stuff now, you get to know a lot more about animals and birds and everything under the sun that we didn't really know about back then. So this image helped me a lot. It won me an award also that year. But courtesy of this image, I had the option of switching my career. This was the second image. In fact, this won the first prize, and the earlier image won the second prize that year. This is a bird called Strogon, found in the northeast of India. When I shot it, hypothetically we would say not more than 200 people in India had seen it, because it's a very, very rare bird. But now half the Indian photographers have seen this bird and shot it. This was again in 2007. Amit, I'm sure you have seen this bird. It's a very, very silent flyer. When it flies, you can't hear it. You just see a dash of pink or dash of green, depending on which male or female. I was with a fellow birder called Shashank Dalvi, and we were just on the bike and we saw this, and Shashank spotted it and he said, okay, let us see. Late evening, I did not have enough shutter speed. So I said, chuck it, it's okay. Because back then, digital era, 2007, I think it was a 20D that I was using. High ISO was something that you wouldn't want to try because you would get lots of grains. I said, chuck it. If it flies, whatever we get, we get. And thankfully, I got a kind of a pan shot, which indicated also a storytelling image about how silent they fly and how they're the phantom of the forest, the ghost of the forest, and stuff like that. So these two images helped me a lot in my photography, because these were the stepping stone for me to get into stuff.
And this is from your second home, Eagle Nest, right?
This is from my first home, Eagle Nest. Because Eagle Nest is absolutely very, very dear to me. My second would be Bandhavgarh. My first is always Eagle Nest, because Eagle Nest, as I said, Amit, for me, I am interested in all kinds of things, which is frogs, snakes, birds, mammals, everything. And Eagle Nest provides that. So Eagle Nest is one of the phenomenal places where you can see some superb frogs, great snakes, and amazing birds. So it is the thing for me. It is, because Bandhavgarh and all, invariably, it is going to be tigers. You would see other things, but you are at the end of the day wanting and hoping that you'll see one of the tigers that you've seen multiple times. Eagle Nest, you go with an empty mind saying, whatever I see, I absorb, and it's super fun. So that's absolutely my kind of place. Then this image, again, my second home, which is Bandhavgarh. This is many years ago, again, a lovely young boy called as Chabana. He was Chorbera's son, and he was trying to stalk this deer bang in the open, which obviously it is stupid of him to do it, because the deer would have seen him and run off. But it was quite a lovely storytelling image, and this also got me an award. And so these are a couple of images that I'm showing which changed my career per se, when I evolved also as a photographer. This was many years ago. Many years later, this was a desert fox in the outskirts of Ranthambore, somewhere around 80-100 kilometers from Ranthambore. There are these very few ravines left in those areas. And unfortunately, it's declared as wasteland by the government, because they assume that it's not something worthwhile, but it is home to a lot of animals, including caracal, hyenas, desert fox, common Indian fox, a lot of animals, desert cat. So yeah, this is with a 500. So it's not that I intentionally wanted to zoom out and take a picture. This is with a 500. We maintained that distance, and we were on the hillock, and we took this picture. So these are pictures that made me a slightly different photographer back then. This is in Kabini, in the lawn where these two rat snakes were combating. These are two male rat snakes which combat, and they try to push each other down to win the mating rights over the female. What happens as a photographer is, when you evolve, you want to, I keep telling, technical knowledge is one that you need to have. Fair enough. Compositional knowledge is something that you can learn slowly and evolve in, because there are some people who don't have it in them, and some people who have it in them. They're born creative. Some people will take some time, but it's also something that can be learned. Unlike skill is something that anyone can learn. Composition is something that you need to keep on working on, keep on looking at, to be able to allow that to happen. So my love for everything under the sun was too much. So I would want to shoot a frog. Then I realized, oh, why pop a flash? Why not use torches? Because you can have control light. You also are hoping that you're not disturbing the animal as much, so that it goes on doing whatever it does. So this is a beautiful frog called as Rochester's Jairami, the only frog that I knew back then, at least, which was named on a photographer. Mr. Jairam was a senior photographer from Coimbatore, or Chennai, I don't remember where, but Coimbatore, sorry. And this was in Valparai, very close. And Dr. Biju had named this after the photographer, because he had helped him take a lot of pictures. Then Corbett. So across India, there are so many places where you can make different unique images. Some will help you because of light. Like this image is only light which is making it look good. This at 11 o'clock would have been any ordinary shot, 11 in the afternoon, right? But this is early morning, 6 o'clock, when the light is just coming down, the mist and fog. So you can aim for these, but you can also make pictures like this. So it's not necessary that you have to always aim for good light alone. Like this, this is Kaziranga, this is how the place is. It's an absolutely drop dead gorgeous place where at one go you can see half a dozen rhinos grazing, and you have this male tiger walking past them. Of course, I've done probably 20 trips to Kaziranga. I've seen the tiger only 3 or 4 times. It's not easy to see it. Like Mr. Mohan has a phenomenal shot crossing the road. So he would know how lucky he has. I'm sure he's done very few trips to Kaziranga, but he still got lucky with that shot. So it's not easy. But the point is, can I tell a slightly larger picture? Can I, like if you see Monsa's picture also, one thing is, of course, you are stuck with a long lens and you can't really do much beyond unless you can change. But if you see Monsa's picture, you will realize there is still area around it. There is the entire road, there is water splash, all of it. So it's not, why was it, I'm assuming it was quite a hit on Instagram. A lot of good pages had shared it and all, because it speaks volume. Some pictures it's God given to you. You can't plan it. You can always hope and assume that it'll happen, but it need not happen. Like this, the tiger was not there. When we were shooting this guy, there were only rhinos and we were shooting happily. When the tiger came in, it's as in Hindi, they say, so ne pe suhaga. It's like, it's super fun when all elements come together. So that is what I think wildlife is all about, where you can't plan and predict and do anything. Like, this is a picture that I genuinely like. It is my personal favorite only because of the story around it, because this is a hunting palace. This is where Maharajas used to sit and shoot tigers, kill tigers. And this is where tigers are now reproducing. They're actually mating. This is the mating pair. So it actually looks like a palace and a king and a queen chilling out together and stuff like that. So for me, anything like that is a good picture. So I wouldn't always say, go only for storytelling images or go only for action, because none of that is in your control. Like I said, Mr. Mohan's tiger crossing picture, it was not in his control, but it's a fabulous action picture. And that is what stands out. So I had the opportunity to go to different places. One of the places that I personally love the most is Borneo, because Borneo is very similar to Eagle Nest, where you see the advantage with Borneo is also see mammals apart from birds and frogs and snakes. But yes, it's a holistic trip where you get to see a lot of stuff. So so there are two areas where there are multiple areas in Borneo that you could go to, but there are two very known places that you could go to. One is the riverine area and one is the rainforest. So yeah, Amit, you had a question.
What's the best time to visit Borneo, Sachin?
I think September, October, November is good, because that is when the monsoon is there and you still get to see. Monsoon is just coming, because November, December, it rains a lot. By that time, if you just, at the beginning of monsoon, if you go, you get nice clouds and you get frog activity also, because couple of showers and you get, it's the same with Madagascar. Madagascar also, November, it starts raining. If you go, I prefer going just at the onset of monsoon, because 1 or 2 shower and you have superb activity. So I'll come to Madagascar also, but that is what my favorite time of Borneo is, because you get to see other animals also. Of course, it's wildlife at the end of the day. If it pours out, it pours out. Like I have done a trip to Eagle Nest where it just rained for 6 days non-stop. 6 days. I came back without any bird picture. Of course, I made a lot of frog pictures, thankfully, because of the rain, but no bird picture. It just poured and poured and poured. And that can happen to you in any of these destinations, because it's very thin line that you're playing with. It's just the onset of monsoon. So a proboscis monkey, which is an absolutely unique monkey to that place. I didn't know about this hornbill before I went to Borneo. I am someone who researches a lot before I go to any place. I had skimmed through it, but I never thought I would see this. It's a white-crested hornbill. It's a bad picture. It's a 40% crop. It's way too far. But I like to tell the world that there is this unique hornbill, which is a different crest. And unfortunately, it's feeding on a gliding frog, which is my favorite, by the way. So if you see the male has a gliding frog in its mouth. So now, is it a photographically good picture? Absolutely no. But is it a picture that I would want to show to the world? Absolutely yes, because I want to talk to people about it and I want to tell them, hey, listen, if you come to Borneo, you'll see something unique like this also, which is very fascinating. Then the place is, of course, about orangutans and how you see them in the wild. It's not very easy to see them. They are like tigers only because there are few left, and they are not troop animals. They're individual animals, and it's a very dense forest. So getting to see them, it's not easy, but you can get lucky. Like this also, like this guy, this old guy was picking up fig, and he was so conscious of the figs that he was picking, that he was picking only the ripe ones, only the ripe ones. And he left. So probably this is a tree that he comes every day to, and every 2 days, and picks up only the ripe ones and lets the other ripen on its own speed. So a very, very cool thing to watch these, including birds. Now, Borneo is all about birds and mammals. This is a fireback crest, and this is a rare forest bird again. It's like our monal and stuff like that, but it's a very rare bird. So it's a deep forest bird. So if you get lucky, you go lower level and do all the other tam-jam that you do justice to the picture. But I like to depict or like to show everything that Borneo would show, as opposed to showing you 6 images of the orangutan. A lanternfly, which is a small fly. We get in India also a couple of places. I think it's a tropical insect, but fabulously colored ones. So you get a lot of opportunity to shoot macro there. This is one of the frogs that was on the top of my wish list. It's called the Malayan horned frog, and it's this big of frog. It's massive. And Indian photographers might relate to it when I say this, that the sound of it is like the sambar alarm call. It's that loud. Call. Yeah, it's like, it's like a truck horn in the middle of the night. It's really loud, and it's one single note, then 10 minutes nothing, then after 10 minutes one more paw. So it's pretty cool to go look for it. And it's big, but you can't spot them because on the back it's like leaf litter, the pattern. So you just can't spot them, but it's super, super cool to see these frogs. So from Borneo, I'll take you to Africa, one of my other favorite places. Kenya and Tanzania is some place that I've been to. I've been to Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Madagascar in Africa. I'll show you pictures of all those places, couple of pictures. So this is Amboseli, again, one of my most favorite places in Kenya. Amboseli offers you a lot of photo opportunities, classical opportunities of the Kilimanjaro and bull elephants and all that, but it also gives you slightly unique perspectives of what you could produce that you could not or you cannot in other parts of Kenya, which is Mara or Nakuru or Samburu or anywhere else. So Amboseli is pretty unique when it comes to that. Every place is, because if you constantly visit that place, you will get certain opportunities. Like this is a place in Kenya called Nakuru, and Nakuru offers some very, very good opportunities for you to play around with light also, because there are multiple roads and there are rhinos all over the place. You just have to plan yourself. And once you see the like this is a picture where I have a golden light picture as well as this backlit picture, because the roads are on both sides. So we first shot the golden light picture, then we said, oh, quickly let's go and make the backlit picture. So that is, I think, one of the biggest USP of Kenyan parks, because you can maneuver your car wherever you want and utilize light as per what you wish. But at the end of the day, again, it has to be luck. You can do whatever, but you can't have the 2 male lions sitting on a large broken tree. It's a very classical fairy tale kind of a picture that you can. So it is luck at the end of the day. It is luck that the light was different. It is luck that one male was sitting and one male was standing, complementing each other. It is luck that it's a massive tree, so that it gives you the sense of everything. It's luck that it was raining. Yeah, sorry.
And this image, I believe it won you the DJMP award.
Yes,
right?
yes, this won me the DJMP award. Yes, yes. Thanks. So, so I'm saying at the end of the day, there is a fair amount of luck involved in wildlife photography, but if you heap on it, then opportunities will arise. Because as a fellow wildlife photographer long back said, you just have to be out there. You can't be at home assuming I will do one trip and I'll get it all. It won't really work. You need to hit it. Even if, of course, there are times when you can't afford a Kenya trip 4 times a year, but you could go to multiple other places. You just have to be out of your house. You shoot a skink or a snail or something else, and you can make great pictures. Like I see, recently I saw a beautiful picture of a snail, a backlit picture, and absolutely gorgeous. I'm saying it's a snail at the end of the day, and you can make very unique images with snails too.
Very true.
Then I take you to Mara. Mara is all about light because it's absolutely unending grasslands. You can make some very nice backlit, silhouette, all of those. The opportunities are immense. This is how the place looks, and the sky is gorgeous. This is in the month of May. Yeah. So I like, I go there in May and August, both May, August, September. So May is again monsoon, so you have a lot of play of clouds. Whereas August is all about migration, and you know that the wildebeest come here and they want to cross the river when they come into the Kenya. There is a lot of myth revolving around what river crossing is, because a lot of people assume that these guys, when they cross over from Tanzania to Kenya, they have to cross the river. It's not that. They come into Kenya, they graze for a couple of days, and then they cross the river because they have to go to other grazing lands. And they keep crisscrossing. It's not that they cross only once in those 4 months. They keep crisscrossing, and multiple places, different crossings happen. So at times you get lucky, at times you miss, because you'll be waiting at one place, hoping those wildebeest will come. But those guys are just not interested. While a kilometer away from you, someone will be crossing and thousands of wildebeest will be crossing. So it's a great experience to see them. But if you go there with the agenda that I want to see only river crossing, you might get disappointed, because it's not necessary that will happen. And it's not necessary that it will happen at a good photography place, because there are times when it happens. It can happen anywhere. It's a long river. So there are times when you go and see, and you can see only the wildebeest coming up, and you don't see them going down. You don't see them crossing the river. And then there are people who want to, when they see the crossing also, they say, oh, I want to see a crocodile kill. If the crocodile kill hasn't happened, then what's the point of crossing? So that doesn't always happen. It's all a built up, but it's pretty cool, and it's pretty sad at the same time. This was a scene that only me and I was guiding only a couple from Bombay, a very nice couple. They've traveled with me for a long time, and they had told, it was a private guiding tour. It's just me and them. And we were roaming around for 3 days. We hadn't seen a good crossing, and then we chanced upon this. And it's just 3 of us and the guard. And this was a stampede where we saw at least 2 dozen wildebeest die in front of us. And it's very, very heartbreaking, because you can't help it. You can't do anything. You can just hear them bleat because they're really, really loud. So there was a stampede at the end, where if you see in the end, in the area where the wildebeest are trying to climb up, there was a very narrow path, and it was choco-block, so they couldn't. So the others who had crossed all over, they started drowning, because these animals are not used to swimming for a long time. So it was deep in that area. Some started going back, while some are simply drowning in front of us. And there are these vultures saying, oh, party, we have at least 2 of the 2 dozen dead. So it's a pretty sad as well as realistic picture, when you know, okay, this is how nature is. You can't do anything about it. You can, of course, feel bad, but you can't do anything about it. So these are things that Kenya offers. Now, this is a place in Tanzania called Ngorongoro. It's like a God decided, okay, listen, I will have one small area for myself. I will plonk every animal and dump it in one small garden of mine. He actually made an Eden. It looks like that because it's a massive mountain which has collapsed within, and you have animals inside. That's the crater, the wall. So all throughout 360 degree, you see this wall, 360 degree, once you are inside the crater. So it's very, very cool to go and experience it. And the animals are very healthy, big, because they have nourished grass, because the layer of the land is based on ash, because it's a volcanic crater. So the grass grows beautifully. So everyone's very, very healthy. So that is what Ngorongoro is. But Tanzania is also about Serengeti. Serengeti is very unique, slightly different from Mara. It gives a lot of other opportunities to make pictures. Wildebeest and zebra come to Serengeti and spend good 8-9 months here. They look very happy. Like this guy he was dancing around. I don't really know what was running in his mind, but he genuinely seemed very happy about something. But that is what migration is all about. And wildebeest come and they are in a perpetual circuit, and they go to Kenya for 3 months, 4 months, and they come back to Tanzania and spend good 8 months here. And that is where wildebeest, which are in the number of 1.5 million, which is 15 lakh, a lot of them deliver in South Tanzania, South Serengeti. So that is what is called the calving season. So when I do my tours in March, February, March. February is where they have babies because it's just the onset of monsoon again. So the babies will have a good milk because the mothers will have fresh grass to eat. And within a couple of weeks, the calves start eating too. So this is a calf which was just popped out in front of us. This is how the plain lens of Serengeti helps you get pictures. Now, as I said, why would I not shoot these? Why would I be obsessed only about migration? Or why would I be obsessed only about good light? Or why would I obsessed only about action? There is so many. Which is what makes me a documentary photographer also. This photographically it may not be great, but I can tell people this is how bat-eared fox looks. It's pretty cool, very, very cool characters, very small fox, really long ears, super cool nose. Now, I would insist people learn about this so that when they take a picture, then they want to go back and read about it. That gives you slightly more boost as a photographer too.
Sachin, one question before we go ahead. What is a part of your bag, the kit of when you go to Africa, especially?
Right.
I knew him, and his favorite lens was 100-400. When I have gone with him. Right now, we would like to know what is your kit.
No, the 100-400. I still have it and I still carry it. It's one of my workhorses. I really, really enjoy working with it. But I also moved on to a slightly prime camera, prime lens. So earlier I used to use a 500. Now I use a 400 2.8. This was with a 400 2.8. So I carry three kinds of lenses. One is a long lens, which is a 400 2.8. One is a 100-400, which I said is my workhorse. It's always there. And one is a wide angle. Then depending on the places, I also carry my macro. My macro and my 100-400 is always in my bag, always. Because there are times in Mara where I've seen frogs. We just got off for breakfast and someone said, hey, lovely frog, one small kutti frog. I was like, okay, my job is done now. While I have breakfast, I am shooting this frog. So a macro is very, very handy for me. And so is the 100-400 because I think 100-400 has been it has been very, very favorable to me. That's why I carry. But for people, I would say a 70-200 is great. So 24-70, 70-200 and a prime lens. But I ask people to keep the 70-200 away because I've realized what people do is because it's the world of Instagram, everyone wants portraits. So they think that they need the 70-200 when the animal comes closer. But the fact is when the animal was far, you took with the 400, same shot. Now, when it comes closer, you're with this 200 also, you're taking the same shot. So it doesn't make logical sense. So keep the 70-200. If you see, like the picture I showed you of the Gorongoro crater and the lion walking, only for such unique images you would want to pop, but otherwise keep this 24-70 or the 16-35 and the long lens. That is what I do.
Thank you.
So these are 4 lenses that I carry. So again, rainy morning, but Serengeti is all about kopis and these massive rocks and large trees and lions there. So you can make nice artistic kind of silhouettes. From there, I take you to a beautiful place in the north of Kenya called Ethiopia. I was very, very mesmerized by this place when I had read about the Gelada baboons. I'll show you pictures of that. But I didn't know that Ethiopia is home to a lot of endemics. Endemics means animals which are refrained only in that area and nowhere else on this planet. So this is an animal called as Walia ibex. Now, Walia ibex, apparently less than 2,000 of them are there in the wild and only in the highlands of Ethiopia. And now, Ethiopia is a place where there's no safari per se. You drive, you see the animal, you get off and walk. You walk towards them slowly, casually. If they allow you to come closer, great. So everything in Ethiopia is about walking and taking pictures, not from the car and all. So it's pretty, pretty fascinating. So as I said, photographically, this may not be a great picture. But to me personally, when I talk about Ethiopia, I want to tell the world that, hey, do you know there is an animal like this, which can go extinct because it's found only in the highlands of that place and pretty, pretty cool looking animal. Like this bird, it's the spot-breasted lapwing. It's found only in the highlands of Ethiopia, nowhere else. So there are a lot of these birds and animals that you see that this is a lanner falcon, which is found in most of the places in Africa. But a lot of things that you see, like this nyala, it's called the mountain nyala, again endemic to the highlands of Ethiopia. When I say highlands of Ethiopia, Ethiopia is all about mountains. which is why it's called the roof of Africa also. And it's all about mountains, and these guys are on top of the mountains. So it's like Ladakh. So you go to Ladakh and you drive around and you see animals. It's like that. But some places are absolutely like Ladakh. Some places have pine forest. So it's slightly lower than, it's like the Himachal kind of forest.
And what's the altitude, Sachin?
I have no recollection. I'm very sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So this is the highlight of the trip of Ethiopia. This is the Ethiopian wolf, which is again a highland species, very similar to how the landscape is very, very similar to, say, maybe a Pangongso or a Somoriri. Not like Nubra, but Pangongso, Somoriri. It's like that, small patches, small water holes, a lot of places, or Sokar for that matter. It's like that. So it's pretty cool. And these guys are possibly the only wolf species which has a 99% of diet revolves around rodents. That's it.
Oh.
They eat only rodents.
Oh.
So that would be pikas or moles or rats or mouse or anything. They just feed on. So they have really long mouth, but they don't really attack sheep and all. There are a lot of sheep herders around. They don't really attack sheep. There are very, very, very few records of them going for a lamb, but they don't attack. They survive only on rodents. So that way it's a pretty cool animal to go and see. Again, all of this is on foot. You just keep walking with it initially at a distance, and then you slowly bridge the gap. So there's a lot of effort to take pictures, but it's good fun because you are actually walking around with the animal and taking pictures. So the other animal that is the highlight of this place is the Gelada baboon, which is a massive old world baboon. It's a big baboon with this beautiful chest opening. The males have this very, very gorgeous animal. And this is the highlight of Ethiopia, of course, again, endemic only to the highlands of Ethiopia. And you can make some very cool portraits with it because they allow you to come closer. You can sit right next to them. The troop that we saw was 200 animals. So they're all over the place, and they are ground feeders. So they are on the ground and you walk around with them in the ground. You are one amongst them. You can lie down on the floor, do whatever you wish. It's absolute fun to work with in Ethiopia. Then south of Africa, the island, like how we have the Andamans, or rather how Sri Lanka is there with India. Madagascar is there with Africa, but it's part of Africa itself, the continent that is. Absolutely unique place. One of the places that I like again is because it's like Borneo. There are not as many birds in this island. There are, but not as many as Borneo gives. But there are a lot of these unique endemic species that you will not find anywhere else. And those would be lemurs and lots of types of frogs and geckos and largely chameleons. So it's a place where you can see the most number of chameleons and very, very gorgeous ones. So this is all about lemurs. So lemur is the first thing that you would want to see when you go to a place like Madagascar. Some places it's pretty easy. Some places it's difficult because these are high canopy animals. But you can also make some very cool images if you have a macro lens. So this is emerald gecko, what we have in Andaman also. It's a gorgeous blue-green gecko. Like this chameleon, the brown leaf chameleon, is the size of my little finger. That's it. The entire chameleon is this small. So it's pretty fascinating to spot it itself because they can anywhere. And these can be on the ground as well. So you have to be very careful that you don't step on something and stuff like that. But Madagascar is a different world altogether. It's like one historical place which is still left unexplored. You go and you look for stuff, and all of this is walking. Madagascar again everything is about walking. You walk around, you see stuff, and you take pictures. This is Buphis viridis, a small, a tiny frog. This is one of the specialities of Madagascar again, a lemur, nocturnal lemur called I. I is very, very peculiar because this lemur has the middle finger is 4 times longer than the other digit. So just this finger is still here, just the middle finger, because that is what they use to put under a tree hollow to dig out caterpillars or insects. So it's obviously a carnivorous animal. So it feeds on fruits, omnivorous actually, fruits, stuff and that, but largely they feed on insects and larvae and stuff like that. So again, it's in Madagascar, they're called the Harbinger of Death. So when they see this animal, they think that, you know, how in certain parts of India, people think owls are harbingers of death and they want to shoo away owls because they think, oh, if an owl hoots that someone's going to die. This is what happens in Madagascar. When they see an eye, there are instances that they burn down the entire village because they think the eye would have cursed that place.
Oh.
So it's a pretty not so good looking character, and it's slightly weird because it's a large animal, bushy, lot of hair, and in the night if you see it walking around with an eye like this, you will get spooked. Anyone will get spooked. So I'm sure the first people who saw them were, in fact, that is why someone was telling me, you guys have been to Africa, the name also was saying no. If you realize in African safaris, when they ask someone, did you see anything, they'll say I is no. So that is how the name also came, apparently saying no, we don't want to see the animal. That is why it's called I. So pretty cool character of Madagascar. This is the only predator of Madagascar, the Fusa, which feeds on lemurs and all kinds of stuff. This is it's a mix of dog, cat, mongoose, all of it put together, and God knows how evolution worked. And again, canopy dwellers. It's pretty difficult, very difficult to see this animal. But if you see it, it's
so
fun.
This is the top of the food chain, right?
It is absolutely the top of the food chain. This is the only character which can kill anything and everything in Madagascar,
right.
And they don't have a predator for them. There's nothing above these guys. They're the top. Then a beautiful place called Costa Rica, which is all about birds, very gorgeous, colorful birds. Most of it is feeders. You can, the property guys will put fruits so that the birds keep coming, visiting that place, and you can make some lovely pictures. This is in the wild, of course. Now, Costa Rica helps you make very good bird images, because most of the properties have been careful about how they plant trees and what they plant trees in their property itself, so that it's all local and not just for the heck of making a garden. They made garden. They planted nice flowering and fruiting trees so that the birds around will visit there. All you have to do is walk around. That's all. And it is like eagle nest, very similar to eagle nest. This is a highland area where I shot this. So in places like these, you just have to walk with your long lens and you can get lucky. So none of these are on feeders. These are all in the wild. This is a Talamanca hummingbird, a massive, one of the largest hummingbirds in that place. Gorgeous looking bird. It's very fascinating. The colors that you see are only for split second. Only if the light hits them at a certain place is when the light is like that. Otherwise, it's just black. When they move their head around, it's black all the time. But in a certain light, I don't know how they move those feathers in that instance, and you see this flash of light coming in. It's absolutely gorgeous, these guys are. Then, of course, Costa Rica is also about multiple flash units. You can have multiple flashes because hummingbirds are very fast. So you will not be able to freeze the bird. So you need to pop flashes so that you can have the bird frozen. So this is one of those instances where we've used pop flash. Again, a trigger-based thing. So where when the bat comes, it triggers the trigger of the flash, and the flash will pop. So you shoot in a bulb mode. You keep your shutter open for a longer time. When the flash happens, you know that you've shot it, and you close the shutter. So it's like that. So it's good fun to work around. But again, there are mammals also in Costa Rica that you can make pictures of. There's a coati. It's a pretty cool animal, and of course there are loads of frogs. Costa Rica has lots about frogs also. So again, one of the places that I like going to.
Yeah, Sachin. In fact,
yes.
Sachin, in fact, I always recommend a trip. Okay,
yes.
with
yes.
a TL like you to a places like Costa Rica or Madagascar. Because I know some people who went to Costa Rica, come with a bird image, and they have one image of frog. Arey, ye bhi dikhata udhar karke,
yeah.
I'll tell you, if I go to Costa Rica, Sachin, it is the frog, the snakes, okay,
yes.
and then the birds, okay.
Correct. So the only the difference, Amit, I've realized is how much of an effort are you willing to put? Because birds, they will come to feeders. Like this frog, this was there in the property. I didn't go looking for it. But in Costa Rica, we went looking for a lot of frogs. In Madagascar, we go out looking for frogs in the night. If you think that I'll walk around the property, whatever I see, I will shoot, it doesn't work that. You need to put in effort to be able to do that. Yeah. So a lot of people, what they do is they've had a good productive day because they shot a lot of birds. By evening, they want to chill. They're like, it's okay now, who will go look for frogs? Same with Bonyo. We walk through the day because we want to look for birds. We want to look for orangutans. We want to look for so many things. But I have to walk for at least 2 hours in the night to look for frogs, because these are places that is steaming with frogs, and these are known for frogs and snakes. So I think it largely depends on the mindset of what you want to see, because it's only when I show you these things and say, oh, this is cool, man, I would like to see this too. But otherwise, you know how it is. You come back, you have a drink, and you say, I had a good productive day. But you could have 2 more productive hours if you had just stepped out now.
Sachin, if I'm a participant, I would go with definitely Sachin, because Sachin can give me 24/7. If I'm an exam, not exaggerating too much.
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
can actually shoot in night also.
Correct.
So the total, the way you come out with images, boss, you're busy for next 1 year.
Yeah, true, absolutely. True. Yeah. And a lot of people do that. So that's why I said it's based on enthusiasm. When I tell people, listen, guys, I am going for a walk in the evening. If you all are free, come. Half the team wants to come, and half the team are genuinely tired, and I can't blame them. It's okay. But the other half wouldn't even have thought, oh, boss, I thought it's the end of the day. I was like, no, our day now starts with a different domain altogether. So it's good fun. Particularly in these 3 places, that is Borneo, Madagascar, and Costa Rica, where you have opportunities to shoot lots of things apart from birds. This is Brazil. I really enjoyed going to Brazil, because as I said, one of the places that I enjoy is where you get variation of stuff. It's not that you're bound to go only for jaguars. Of course, Brazil is about jaguars, but there is so much that Brazil offers for you in the palette. Like I'm sure Mr. Mohan has been to this place. It's a lovely sinkhole. It's a massive hole in the ground. It's like a well, but 400 meters across and 400 meters wide. It's that big. And it's probably deep 3 stories, 3 floors. It's that deep. Okay. So it's a massive hole, and these guys nest there. These are large blue and red and green macaws, massive birds, and they're fast flying birds. So, but in that cave-like an area where they fly across, there are a lot of times you can make these pictures without doing much. You don't have to Photoshop the black. They will fly against black background, early morning, late evening. That's why, thankfully, most of these places, that's why I said it's very, very cool that how they have kept photography in mind. Like these guys, also the owners of this place, they made a machan on both sides of the hole, so that if you go in the morning, you know that you'll get a black background from this side. If you're going in the evening, you go to the other side, because you know that the evening light is going to come from that side. Either which ways you go, early morning or late evening, you will get the black background kind of pictures there. So it's pretty cool. So these are the kind of pictures that you can make in that sinkhole. But these places, this bird is found in Costa Rica as well. It's called the curassow, and it's a gorgeous, massive peacock-like bird, pitch black. The entire bird is black. Some of them will have a white belly, because there are multiple species of curassow, but very weird hairdo and all. So again, these guys come because the property guys will throw the leftovers behind the property. All you have to do is you have to ask them, hey, do you have the curassow visiting? It's like, yeah. Walk around in the morning and you might be able to see them. So this is not part of the tour. You just walk around the property. That's why I said, if you walk around the property in any of these places, you will get opportunities to shoot. Now, another very unique, cool character in Brazil. I'm overshooting the time. I'm sorry. So this is the anteater. Again, an absolutely cool character with really, really long tongue. And you notice that the eye is very small, so they can't really see you, but they can hear you and they can smell you. So if you are very silent and you're walking, because this is again walking, so you walk very silently and see if you could approach, sit down, let it walk about. It's super cool. I'm sure Mr. Mohan, you've seen this bird.
Yes. We have to jump the fences of ranches that got you.
Correct. So this is not a forest, Amit. This is people in Brazil. Brazil is the largest exporter of beef. So they have ranches, massive ranches. And these ranches where they let their cow and other bovines just go around feeding. And these guys walk around in those areas. So you're actually jumping into someone's private property, jumping over the fence, and you get into the property. Now it's so massive that they'll not know. And they're pretty cool. Most of those ranchers, they don't bother because they know that this is an animal that will live in their property, and there will be some tourists who'll come and see. They absolutely have no issues. So it's pretty cool side. So it's like you driving around in Navi Mumbai and seeing this animal. It's like that. It's just the outskirts of your place, and you see this beautiful animal walking around. Then you go to Panthenol, which is a river system where you see giant otters like these, and you can also get lucky with the jaguar. So this is how the forest in Panthenol is. And on the bottom right is where you see the head popping out, which is the jaguar's head, which actually looks like this when you take with a long lens. And these guys are constantly coming to the water because they want to feed on the caimans. They also want to look for marsh deers and capybaras and stuff like that. So Brazil is about that. So there is, again, I'm not doing justice to any of these destinations because I'm showing you probably just 4 or 5 images. Each destination I can show you 30 odd different animals and birds of these destinations, but then that is how it is. So I'll take you to the last destination, one of my top 5 destinations in this world, which is Kamchatka. It's an absolutely drop dead gorgeous place. It's very unique. It's the part of the Russian peninsula called Kamchatka. And it's so unique that it's incredible how the Russian government has managed it. So the hill that you see and the house that you see is where you live for 3 nights, and you're dropped here in a chopper. Right in front of the house is a helipad, and you fly for around 1.5 hours from the town of Kamchatka, and they drop you there with all your provisions, with your cook, everything. There's nothing in that place apart from a bed. So the bed sheets and the blankets, everything you carry, from the tissue paper, spoon, vessels, everything you carry. And there'll be a team who will be working for you. And on the 3rd day, on the 4th day, when the chopper comes and picks you up, you take everything along, including the garbage, everything. So it's an absolutely super cool, well-maintained place. So there's hardly any pressure on wildlife in that area. But the beauty of this place is, why is it so unique, is this is a massive lake that you're seeing. The lake is called Kuril Lake, and there are tributaries coming to the lake. So from the sea, there are small riverine areas that are coming to this lake. And from, not from the sea, sorry, from the mountains, the water is coming to the lake. From the lake, it is going to the sea. So from the sea, the salmon fish come all the way to this lake. They stay in this lake for some time, and they go upriver to the mountains, from where the glaciers and all melt, and that is where they spawn, that is where they lay eggs. So when they go from this lake to the hills is when the brown bears want to feed on them. So this place is only about brown bears, and that is called the Kamchatka brown bears, the different subspecies.
And believe me, Sachin, after the 3rd day, when the helicopter came and we were just being lifted up, it was really heartbreaking to leave that place.
Absolutely.
It is one of the best places that I have ever stayed 3 days.
I agree with you. I agree. So it's very unique, and it gives a lot of good photo opportunities, and it's like a fairy tale. It's like a dream. So you're dumped in one place. Imagine there is no civilization, no nothing. There are just 2 armed guards with you, that to a couple, and they are like, the lady itself is some 6.5 feet, and the guy is 7.5. They're Russians. They're a massive guy. And obviously a bear would not want to do anything with those Russian guys because they're carrying their gun and they talk to the bear. I was like, if I was a bear, I'd be scared of this guy too. So it's pretty cool that you just walk around. So you're always walking and you are with the brown bears. So here we are at the edge of the tributary where you see all those water splashing. They're all salmons.
Ah, that red thing is salmons, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, and all the water splash that you see is not a wave. It is just salmons. They are splashing the water. So they all go in bunches because they know that some of them will die. So they all go in bunches so that 1 or 2 will be eaten by these guys. Like they jump and they catch the salmon. And all of this is on foot. So we are probably 50 meters away from this bear, or 100 meters at best, right in front of it. So there are times when they come chasing right next to us. So, and that is when you rely on the tall Russian who comes stand next to you with the gun. But it's when they say that you are one with nature, this is the place, because it is very, very cool.
Yeah, it once happened like this. There was a bear. There was a bear in front of me. I just sat down to get a low image, and I was just clicking. I sensed something behind. I looked back. There's a huge bear behind me.
Yeah.
Lucky for me, this Russian jumped between me and the bear.
Correct, the bear. I know. Yeah. So it's very fascinating to experience that, because as a wildlife lover, and it's not only about photography. You can keep the camera down, and because you're staying there for what, 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening, and they're constantly, because this is all you shoot. You don't go look around for frogs. You don't go look around for birds. You just go to the beach. You go sit in the beach. You put your chair. You just sit there, chill. And there are these two guards, and you and your participants. You just talk to your participants, tell them, listen, if this bear is going to move to the left, why don't you all just sleep on the sand? Because this is a place where you can go really low. You don't have to worry about it, because you are relying on these two armed guards all the time. So it's photographically, it's super fun. So this is how they catch salmon, and it's pretty scenic, because you have this massive volcano, which is an active volcano in the background right next to the Kuril Lake. So yeah, this is what the entire place is about. This is a young cub suckling on the mama, and this is with a 7200, I think, at 70 mm. So you can imagine how close this animal is. This is right, so probably 10 feet away from me. That's all.
So when people go with you on the expeditions,
Yes.
Sachin, these kind of places where you can walk, okay?
Yes. Yes.
You still recommend 2 lenses?
Yeah. I carry 3.
Okay.
The wide angle also. The wide angle and the prime lens are absolutely important. 7200 is still your backup lens. Absolutely. Because these are places. So Amit, how it works is you walk only for a kilometer. Okay. You carry your equipment, but there again, there are no porters. So you carry everything. So you carry your tripod, you carry your chair. If you want to sit in the beach in a chair, you carry a chair. So you carry that folding chair, you know, the canvas cloth thing, the tripod like thing. You carry that. It's simple. You carry a tripod and you carry a bag with the lenses. You walk only for a kilometer. Then you set yourself at the beach. It's a proper beach. It's sand. If you see, the only disadvantage of the sand is it's full of bear poop. So the bears have shat all over the beach. So you're just sitting there. And of course, the stench of the dead fish, because there's so many rotting fish around. It smells bad. But you don't think about all of that at all, because you're just there enjoying the view. So it's super fun.
Amit, when he says 1 kilometer, that 1 kilometer, you have to cross waist deep stream.
Yeah. At times. So you carry, you know, the gumboots that we wear.
Yeah.
What you do is, when you land in Kamchatka, we take them to a place where they hire or buy chest height gumboots.
Yes.
So it's like so those fishermen use, no? Yeah. So either that, or you buy till your groin. So it's large pant like thing. So that also is okay, because your water is only till your knee, but you wade through that and you cross over to the beach, depending on where you want to set your photography from. So yeah, but it's good fun. So that's all, gentlemen. That is all that I had to talk about. So
Sachin, you have traveled the world. You have traveled the world.
Thank you.
So can I ask you, for the new photographers, or the ones who want to go to newer places,
Right.
What is that you do when you are going to a new place?
Right. So a lot of my guests ask that, saying, "Hey, Sachin, you have 5 trips. Which one should I do?" I think it depends. Firstly, what are you as a photographer? Like me and Mr. Mohan could be 2 different photographers. Like I shoot frogs. I don't think Mr. Mohan shoots as much frogs as he does, but he shoots large mammals far better than I do, probably, right? Because he's focusing only on that. He gets a lot more opportunities with that. So depending on what you shoot, you need to pick a destination. Because if you are not someone who are willing, like Madagascar, there are times when you have to walk. When I say walk, you have to walk for 3 kilometers with your long lens. So you need to be able to ask yourself, am I going through this pain? I rather go to Kenya, sit in a lovely safari and shoot, right? So if you are okay wanting to build a portfolio, which is slightly different than what the world has done, then you want to travel the world, because you come up with small things that other places do. And when you go to that places, also look for unique stuff that other photographers don't. Like if you go to Ethiopia, you know that you want to see the Gelada baboon, you know you want to see the Ethiopian wolf, but would you want to shoot the other stuff that most other photographers don't? Because most other photographers want to shoot only that, right? Like unlike Kamchatka, where you don't have anything else apart from brown bear, everywhere else, if you go to Mara, I am sure you can tell your driver saying, listen, I don't want you to show me anything. I want you to show me reed buck. I have not seen good pictures of reed buck. Just drive around, look for a reed buck. He will trust. So if you are going to any place, I would request you to open your horizon. Firstly, don't be tied down by what people have produced in that place. One of the common mistakes that we think, that I think we do is, most photographers do is, they want to see what pictures were made in that area and they want to replicate those images. That is not going to help. Like when I took people to Kamchatka for the first time, I genuinely told them, listen, I don't want you to look for what images you can produce. I don't want you to look for. Look for what animals you can see. What is the unique thing about that? What is that extra thing that I can add into my portfolio? Because if you go with an open mind, you are willing to work on it. Otherwise, you are saying, no, I want that. What is that? In Kamchatka, it happened. First 2 days, we didn't see the volcano. But everyone was like, oh, I have always seen the picture of the bear with the volcano. I want the picture with the bear. So the fact that there can be a disappointment will sink in. If you didn't know that that is a possibility, would you not shoot it? If you see the Kilimanjaro, you would want to shoot an elephant with the Kilimanjaro. No one has to tell you that. So I think that it's important that you research about what can be seen in that area as opposed to what can be photographed in that area. Because then you're copying. You're just copying ideas and saying, hey, this is a picture that I've seen. I want to have it. Now, who can tell that the exact same picture that Mr. Mohan has shot in Kaziranga of the tiger, I want exact same picture? It's not possible, no?
True.
Every time who goes to Kaziranga will say, no, but we saw a tiger, but it's not as good as what Mr. Mohan does. but that's not possible, no. It's not possible. So you can't replicate someone else's work. So I want people to be slightly open towards everything they see, ideally.
In fact,
So
Sachin,
when-
thank you. Okay, sorry, Mohan.
So when I go,
Yeah.
to places like Kamchatka
Correct.
or Finland and all, you'll have to carry all your lenses, all your cameras,
Exactly.
including your sleeping bag
Correct.
and the night food, everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes you will have to walk 2 kilometers through the swamp.
Yeah.
So thanks, Sachin, for joining.
Thank you.
As you said, Sachin, you're not doing justice to your images by showing only few. But I'll tell you guys, those who are watching this, please visit sachinrai.com. And believe me, you go and see that gallery on the frogs, on the toads, on you search by the destination, you search by the species, and it's a very comprehensive website. Sachin is into selling of prints, some amazing prints you can buy from his website. And guys, please don't miss Sachin Rai Photography live on Instagram. I'm going to share all the links in the description. So once again, Sachin, thank you so much for joining,
So much, Amit.
and would like to join your trip, man. I'm waiting.
Sure, Amit. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. And
Thank
guys,
you.
please don't forget to hit that like, share, and please share this video with all your friends. And please see this mesmerizing world of Mr. Sachin Rai.
Thank you, Mr. Mohan. Thank you.